Okay, so Kyle just gave us some of the finished backgrounds, and I'm attempting to mix it into the animatic to start creating what will eventually, hopefully, become the finished micro. Now, the tricky part is I'm using Storyboard Pro, which is for storyboards. The same company that makes it, Toon Boom, they also have another animation program called Harmony, which I've never used, I don't own, and was probably much better for what we want to do, and hopefully in the future, if that works out, we'll get that. But in the meantime, we're using Storyboard Pro, so I have to figure out how to make this look super good and not hurt my brain and kill myself trying to make it happen. So I'll give you two examples of what we're currently messing around with, trying to integrate Kyle's new finished backgrounds into. So now you can see this is Kyle's finished pieces of it anyway. There's actually a lot of layers to this shot, which is gonna make this really difficult. So why not the most ambitious start, right? You can see that my Aid 3 is still rough. Like, I just kind of did some rough animation to try and figure out where she needs to be. But with Kyle's backgrounds, I tried two things. So I'll play this one first. So that's her dodging a tree, right? But really, it's less about the tree and it's more about this background and this foreground. You can see them moving where they're a little rough. Now watch this one.
You can't catch me, Ranger Yellow.
So this one I haven't worked in the tree dodging yet, but you can see how smooth everything is panning by. That's what I need to do for every single, like the tree and all this other sort of stuff. So that's what we're working on right now, is figuring out how to make things that can look as best they can and not be super difficult. Now here's the more complicated part. That background needs to move at its own speed, and the foreground needs to move at its own speed, two different speeds, and then all the other elements are going to also be moving at their own speed, and they all have to move within the same thing for Storyboard Pro. And then, once I've got all of the different pieces timed out for their own movements, then you can see here, this is all just one large block, and these ones are a bunch of little blocks. Each one of these little blocks is basically tied in with one of her keyframes of movement. So she goes from the side, starts to turn, goes further back, begins to rotate, comes forward again. So each one of these is her frames. So after I have it all timed out, then I have to pay attention to this timing. So like this is 4 frames. They're all 4 frames up until we get here, which are 2 frames a piece as she starts to rotate. Anyway. Then, once all that's timed out, I have to cut it and paste in all of her different frames. So, it's not dissimilar from how hard real animation is, like traditionally, where you're sliding backgrounds and taking one cell off and putting another cell on, taking a photo of it. It's just a lot of work.
So you're animating with a program that's not necessarily meant to animate with.
Yes, that is the case. And we're going to hope that it turns out all right.